Welcome back to Big Gold Belt Media. It is Damien G with another review here for the channel, and I have the pleasure of reviewing Gladiator 2 for you all, scheduled to be released in theaters in the US tomorrow, November 22nd. And honestly, this takes the original and fast forwards it 20 years into the future. I will lead off and tell you off the bat, this was a fun film, and it could have been a standalone movie by itself had it not been a part of the Gladiator mythos, because it was that much fun for me, and I really got into the performances of both Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal, but I'll get into that. So I'll get that stuff out of the way, and I'll also say off the top, the set pieces were gorgeous. When I say the visuals were stunning, for me, they were beautiful. I went from a battle at sea to the river Styx, to the countryside, to the Parthenon of Rome, to the Colosseum, all of that visual stunningness. I felt as if I was in an actual art museum and I was looking at all this beautiful scenery and I was captivated by it. And if you stare long enough, you think you're looking at a moving painting. That's how beautiful it was. I will also say, in terms of the performances, Denzel Washington kicked butt. He was the best part of this film. And I say that knowing that I've seen the original in bits and in pieces. But I will say the portrayal, his character, the verbiage, the movements, the aura, and I hate to use that term, he carries himself with, comes across so easily digestible, and it comes across as so wonderfully insane. It allows you to be captivated by the performance the first minute he's on screen until the last minute he's on screen. Pedro Pascal, good performance, I will say, is wasted in this film as a plot device. And I don't know how I feel about that. You have an actor the caliber of Pedro Pascal to go along with having someone like Denzel Washington. And this is no disrespect to Paul Mescal's portrayal of Hano, air quotes, Hano, in this movie. But I felt as if Pedro Pascal was wasted. And when you watch the film and you see the film play out, yes, he's a plot device. And yes, it feels like something's missing, at least for me. Okay. Paul Mescal's performance as Hano in the beginning of the film, I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to spoil anything more, is the perfect mix of stoicism, sternness, strength, while still having a heart, while still being vulnerable. And we talk now about wanting men to be vulnerable. So he has a soft delicacy, a delicateness, I should say, with his portrayal, but still keeps that raw rage and passion smoldering throughout 90% of the movie. And that's not to diss his performance. I just thought he got outclassed by Denzel Washington in this film, and by a modicum of agreeance, Pedro Pascal. But that's just me. Another thing I liked was the fight scenes. They were choreographed well, especially there's a couple of battles on the water. That first one, wow. I was blown away and captivated by it. The beauty of it is that this particular fight was probably the most drawn out, longest fight. Because if you're thinking about gladiatorial battles, right, these are supposed to be quick. So the action set pieces in the gladiator arena did come and go fast. These battles were not meant to be 30-minute spectacles, not like professional wrestling where you have to draw it out for 10, 15 minutes. A lot of these fights ended within a minute and a half, if that. So I like the fact that the action kept moving. We didn't have to stay where we were too often. It didn't get bogged down. And it wasn't as bloody or gory as I would have thought it would have been when I compare it to the first one, which I admit I saw it in bits and pieces I've never seen from beginning to end in one viewing. Another thing I enjoyed is the cat and mouse dynamic throughout the plot of this film, especially in the first half. A lot of who do I trust? Who can't I trust? Who has my back? Who's going to stab me in the back? And it's kind of a race against the clock. as if it's those suspense thrillers that I liked so much in the 80s and 90s, and it was portrayed very well in terms of the pacing of, oh my God, what's going to happen? People have their hands in front of their faces, all worried and such, because you didn't know what was going to happen. Somebody might have gotten got and you didn't realize it. It could come out of nowhere like an RKO. So I will say that the action set pieces, as well as the cat and mouse game, were really good in this film. Were rather intriguing to be a part of. And I told the people at the screening, I said the set pieces were great, the action was great, and the time, bang, 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 it flew by. It's over a 2-hour movie. And even though I think the movie could have been about 10 minutes shorter, trim off some of the fat, it was a quick time at the movie theater. It was quick, maybe 2.5 hours, even though I do feel 10 to 15 minutes could have been taken off the top. Aside from that, the only other nitpick I have of this film, without giving away too much, is the Roman leaders, the brothers, who were cornball, is the easiest way I'm going to say it. But now that I'm saying it to you, they are young boys as kings. So how do you expect young boys to act? Like morons, idiots, emotion-based, doing whatever they want, whims, and doesn't matter who or what suffers, it's for their own personal gain. Aside from that, I couldn't stand them. And I guess that's the good thing about this, is that we couldn't stand them. Hooray for that. And if that's the only thing that I'm going to nitpick, aside from, as I said, Pedro Pascal's performance being used as a plot device, at least in my opinion, the set pieces being great, obviously, and cutting off that 10 to 15 minutes of fat from the film, it would have been a perfect film, at least in my opinion. But nitpicking nonetheless, I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10, with those being the only nitpicks I see. Please let me know down in the comments below. Did you love this movie? Did you like this movie? What did you like about it? Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff on Big Gold Belt Media, biggoldbelt.com. And you can also find this review over at my review channel, Damien G. Go over to youtube.com/Damien G. You can find me on your social media platforms at Damien G Show across the board. And I will say, this film was a pleasant surprise. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Until next time, I'll catch you in the next one.